So in spore formation, which organism undergoes spore formation? Type of sexual reproduction? Which organism undergoes?
Multicellular organism.
Example?
Fungus. Fungi.
Fungi. Fungi especially undergoes spore formation process. Example you have to remember, Rhizopus. Rhizopus, simple words, this is a common name, bread mold. Bread mold, scientific name is Rhizopus. So Rhizopus undergoes spore formation. So spore formation diagram, in that spores are present in this structure called as sporangium. This is hyphae. So this is a sporangium. Inside that many spores are present. They are very lightweight. So till maturity, they are enclosed in a covering called a sporangium. So that is they do not get wasted because they are very lightweight. And as soon as these all spores get mature, the sporangium burst open and all spores move into air. So along with air, it will they are very lightweight, so it can be carried out from one place to other place, and immediately whatever the suitable conditions it will get there, these spores start growing into new fungi. So that is what is the required condition for the reproduction. So what is the necessary conditions or suitable conditions?
कर लूंगा मैं वो अपना कर फिर तू करती नहीं है ना इसलिए कहना पड़ता है
Moisture and warm temperature and a nutrient base.
Moisture is needed, yes, and
they grow in a place where there is abundance of nutrients.
Nutrients, that is which type of nutrient they need?
And carbohydrates.
No. Which type of nutrient these needs? Yes?
Proteins.
Which type of organism fungi are? What is the mode of nutrition? Saprophytes. So they feed on
Dead and decaying matter.
dead and decay matter. So anything which is dead and decaying organism is present, object is present, on that it will start growing. The moisture is needed and warmth is needed. So somewhat more temperature, moisture, presence of moisture, and third one is the dead matter. So these three are the necessary condition for the spore to grow, germinate or grow on that organism, the dead matter only. So three necessary conditions are, one is the dead matter, second one is moisture, and the third one is warmth. Okay, so these are the conditions where they will, these are the suitable conditions. So what are the advantage these spores have? What are the advantage these spores have?
Ma'am, they are covered in a tough covering which does, and they do not germinate until they find a suitable place or base for germination.
Okay. So they are enclosed in a tough covering. So that is till maturity. So before maturity, they will not get wasted. And the second one, they are produced in more number and they are very lightweight. So they can easily carried out with the wind. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Even in many here you can see. Are you able to see the book?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Even in many simple multicellular organisms, specific reproductive paths can be identified. Thread-like structures that develop on the bread are the hyphae and the bread mold, that is rhizopus. They are not reproductive parts. On the other hand, the tiny bob on a stick structures are involved in reproduction. The blobs are sporangia, which contain cells or spores that can eventually develop into new rhizopus individuals. The spores are covered by thick walls that protect them until they come into contact with another moist surface and can begin to grow. So the spores are covered with the thick walls that protect them until they come into contact with the another moist surface. And the moist surface is important, dead matter is important. It's clear? So this is about the spore formation. All the modes of reproduction that we have discussed so far allow new generation to be created from the single individual. So this is known as asexual reproduction. So all the methods of asexual reproduction are clear to you? So what are the methods we have learned? First one is
Fission.
fission. So it is binary fission and multiple fission. The second one,
Fragmentation.
fragmentation. Third one is budding. Fourth one is regeneration. Fifth one is vegetative propagation. And the sixth one is spore formation. So all six methods you have to remember. They can ask you any one of the method to explain. So explain the reproduction in amoeba, explain the reproduction in hydra by budding, or hydra also undergoes regeneration. Hydra also reproduce by the process of regeneration. So Hydra specifically check out what they have given. So they have asked the question in about the Hydra regeneration in Hydra. Also they have asked the question. So this exactly similar way as the planaria shows the regeneration, the same way the Hydra also shows the regeneration.
And the
Yes.
organisms which reproduce through fragmentation also have specialized cells.
No, there are not specialized cells. That's a simple cellular level of body organization they have. Very
Okay.
simple. Many cells has been present, but they have not combined to form any tissues. So those cells only divides and those cells matures again. But it is multicellular. It is not unicellular.
Amen.
Are these clear methods of sexual reproduction? All the methods are clear to you? The next is sexual reproduction. So first sexual reproduction in plants we have to see, and after that in humans. So sexual reproduction where the sex cells are needed, gametes are needed for the reproduction, specialized cells for reproduction are needed. Those we call as gametes. Male gamete and female gametes are necessary. Male gametes are present in the male body and the female gametes are present in the female body. So therefore, there is a sexual reproduction involves two parents. So here the two parents are involved, male gametes and female gametes. That is a specialized cells called male and female gametes are necessary. The fusion of in sexual reproduction, these two cells fuse together to form one cell, and that cell further divides to form the new organism. This is all methods necessary for the sexual reproduction. We are also familiar with the modes of reproduction that depends on the involvement of two individuals before a new generation can be created. The bulls alone cannot produce new calves, nor can hen alone produce new chicks. In such cases, both sexes, that is males and females, are needed to produce new generation. What is the significance of this sexual mode of reproduction? What is the significance? That is advantages we can consider.
Extensive variations in the progeny.
Yes, the characteristics comes from the both parents. Here in sexual reproduction, the two parents are involved. So the two gametes, two cells coming from the two different parents having two different characteristics. So those fuse together. So the new individual have the fusion of two different characteristics. So therefore, there are many variations can be seen in the progeny, and which can slowly leads to evolution. It leads to evolution. Clear? So this is the significance of sexual mode of reproduction. The creation of two new cells from one involves copying of the DNA as well as the cellular apparatus. The DNA copying mechanism, as we have noted, cannot be absolutely accurate. The resultant errors are the source of variations in populations of organisms. Every individual organism cannot be protected by variations. But in a populations, variations are useful for ensuring the survival of species. Underline this point. It would therefore make sense if the organism came up with the reproductive modes that allowed more and more variations to be generated. So while DNA copying mechanisms are not absolutely accurate, they are precise enough to make the generations of variations a fairly slow process. If the DNA copying mechanism were to be less accurate, many of the resultant DNA copies would not be able to work with cellular apparatus and would die. So how can the process of making variants be speeded up? So this process is very slow process. It won't happen that is a many nucleotides of the DNA get changed when the DNA copying taken place. It is a slow change. It will not be much more difference cannot be seen in each generation. So we can see distinctive changes after 2 to 3 generations. We cannot say that is immediately we can see all the changes. No, there are distinctive changes will be seen only after 3 to 4 generations. So that is what they have explained here in this case. Here one question can be made on this part. I don't remember that question. This is a very big part, but here it is. They have explained. You have to read this. Read this by yourself and try to understand. If I will read, that will be boring for you. So read this and next page. Next page. Switch on your video. Done? So here this part the question is asked how the number of chromosomes maintain constant in sexual reproduction and in asexual reproduction. 3-mark question. How is the number of chromosomes are maintained in sexual and in asexual reproduction? What can be the answer?
Sexual reproduction, there are special cells which have only half the chromosomes and DNA.
So this is a 3-mark question. So you have to elaborate it. So you have to explain about the asexual reproduction separately and sexual reproduction separately. In that you have to write the number of chromosomes in the organism is n 2n number of chromosomes. That is pair of chromosomes are there. In asexual reproduction, exact copy of DNA takes place. That is the division, cell division takes place is of mitosis. Mitosis type of cell division takes place in asexual reproduction, due to which the same number of chromosomes copied into the new cell. So if the parent have 2n number of chromosomes, so by mitosis, the new organism will also get 2n number of chromosomes. So by the mitosis, the number of chromosomes in parent and offspring is maintained constant. It's clear? So mitosis word should come in asexual reproduction. Now what happened in sexual reproduction? So in sexual reproduction, if the parent cell have 2n number of chromosomes, then specialized cells called gametes, each gamete will be formed by meiosis, which carries half the number of chromosomes. But due to meiosis, the number of chromosomes in gametes will be half than the number of chromosomes, parent chromosomes. That means if the parents have 2n number of chromosomes, then the gamete will have n number of chromosomes. So male gamete have n number of chromosomes, female gamete has n number of chromosomes. So at the time of refertilization, when male gamete and female gamete fuse together, forming one cell zygote, will have n plus n, 2n number of chromosomes. So this way, the parent cell have 2n number of chromosomes and zygote have 2n number of chromosomes. So number of chromosomes maintained constant. Is that clear? Asexual reproduction, cell division is by mitosis. So exact number of DNAs are copied. So number of chromosomes will be equal in parent as well as in offspring. In case of sexual reproduction, the gametes are formed. The gametes have half the number of chromosomes than the parents due to meiosis type of cell division. The cell division takes place from the parents to gamete formation takes place by the meiosis cell division, due to which half the number of chromosomes only copied to gametes. So therefore, if parents have 2n number of chromosomes, then the gametes, each gamete have n number of chromosomes. And when at the time of fertilization, when these two gametes fuse together to form zygote, they combine to form n plus n, 2n number of chromosomes. And further, zygote divides by mitosis. So the same number of 2n number of chromosomes are copied every time. In every cell, the same number of chromosomes will be copied. So this way, the number of chromosomes is maintained in the parent as well as in the offspring. This question is asked for 3 marks. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then in flowering plants, the plants, we have to see the sexual reproduction. So when the question is asked to explain sexual reproduction in plants, you have to start with pollination process. So first is pollination, then fertilization, and then seed formation, post-fertilization changes. So first process, you have to start with the pollination process. First is they have explained about the different parts of the cell, different parts of the flower. Flower is the reproductive part. This diagram is important. This diagram is asked for 3 marks. So you need to remember this diagram and these all labeling parts. So reproductive part of an angiosperm, that is flower. You have already studied the different parts of the flower: sepals, petals, stamen, and pistils. Sepals, petals, the stamen and pistil are the male and female parts. Stamen is a male part, a pistil is a female part. So stamen and pistils are reproductive parts of the flower which contains the germ cells. What are possible functions could the petal and sepals have? Sepals hold the flower on the stalk, and the petals' function is to, what is the function of petals?
Need to attract insects.
Attract insects for
Pollination.
pollination process. It is for pollination. Flowers may be unisexual, that is, remember the example: papaya, watermelon, cucumber. When it contains either stamen or pistil, or the bisexual flower, hibiscus, mustard, rose are bisexual flowers. When it contains both stamen and pistils. Stamen is the male reproductive part and it produces, stamen is male reproductive part and produces pollen grains and are yellowish in color. Yellowish powder that often stick to our hands if we touch the stamen of the flower. So that is the male gamete, that is the anthers. We can actually see, touch the anthers. Inside the anthers there are male gametes are present. Pistil is present in the center of the flower and it is the female reproductive part. It is made up of 3 parts. That is, upper part is stigma, the tube-like structure is style, and the lower bulb-like structure is the ovary. The swollen bottom part of the bottom part is ovary, middle elongated part is style, and the terminal end part, which may be sticky, is the stigma. The ovary contains ovule and each ovule has an egg cell. The male germ cells produced by pollen grains fuses with the female gamete present in the ovule. This fusion of germ cells or fertilization gives us the zygote, which is capable of growing into new plant. So when they have explained, they ask you to explain the fertilization in plants, you have to start with the process called pollination process. So you have to explain, first is pollination, then second is fertilization, and then the post fertilization changes. So what happens after fertilization in the plant? Okay. So now pollination. What is the process of pollination? What do you mean by pollination process?
The transfer of pollen grains from stamen to the pistil of flower.
Yeah, stamen to stigma. The pollens, the process of transferring pollens from anther to stigma is called as pollination, which can be done by different agents like wind, that is air, water, insects, birds. Okay. Now, if this transfer of pollen occurs in the same flower, it is known as self-pollination. The same plants as anther, pollen grains transferred from anther to stigma of the same plant, then that is called as self-pollination. But if the different flower, the pollination takes place between different flowers, although that different flower is from the same plant, but still that is considered as a cross-pollination because its genes will be different than the same flower. Same flower's stigma and the style has the same similar genetical structure, but when you take the same plants, different flower will have some genetical difference will be there. So therefore, if this one pollination takes place in the same flower, one single flower, then that is called as self-pollination. And if the pollination takes place between the two different flowers, so that two different flowers may be on the same plant or maybe from the different plant. But if it is coming from the second flower, then it is cross-pollination. The pollen, on the other hand, if the pollen is transferred from one flower to another, it is known as cross-pollination. The transfer of pollen from one flower to another achieved by agents like wind, water, and animals. Generally, for self-pollination, in that case, the flower which undergoes a self-pollination, in that the stigma is very small in size, means the ovary is very small in size, and the anthers, the stamen part, is the bigger one. So that is, if it is a bigger and this is a smaller, immediately it will fall down. From there itself, it will fall down. So plants which have the characteristic self-pollination process, in that stigma, the height of the stigma is lower than the height of pollen grains. So that is easily inside that only, without the help of any pollinating agents, the pollen grains will be transferred to the stigma. After the pollen lands on the suitable stigma, it has to reach the female germ cells which are in the ovary. For this, a tube grows out of the pollen grain and travels through the style to reach the ovary. So pollen tube formation takes place, and that pollen tube will start moving towards the ovary. So when it reaches the ovary, it will open up, and inside the ovule, the female gametes are present. So the fusion of that male and female gamete takes place. After fertilization, now here, after the pollens land on the suitable stigma, it has to reach the female germ cells which are in the ovary. For this, a tube grows out of the pollen grain, that is the pollen tube, and travels through the style to reach the ovary. So instead, now it reaches the ovary, opens up into the ovule, gamete, and then fusion of male and female gamete takes place. Out of that one, there are two male gametes are moved inside. So one gamete fuses with the female gamete, forms the zygote, and the second one, sometimes it will combine with the two polar nuclei. So this way, the three cells combine together, one male gamete and two polar nuclei are fused together. So due to that, the three cells fuse together, which is called as triple fusion. So this is called as triple fusion. Okay, and this way, this process is called as double fertilization. 2 times fertilization takes place. One is in between the gamete, male and female gamete, and the second one is between the male gamete and two polar nuclei. So this way, 2 times the fertilization takes place. So therefore, this process is also called as double fertilization. Okay. After fertilization, now post-fertilization changes, what happens to that? The zygote divides several times to form an embryo within the ovule. So first, zygote get converted into embryo. So these are the post-fertilization changes. The ovule develops a tough coat and is gradually converted into seed. The ovule converted into seed. Ovary grows rapidly and ripens to form a fruit. So ovary gets converted into fruit. Meanwhile, the petals, sepal, stamen, style, stigma may shrivel and fall off. That means they will fall off by drying. Have you ever observed any flower part still persist in the fruit? Try and work out the advantages of seed formation of the plants. Leave that. The seed contains the future plant or embryo which develops into seedling under appropriate conditions. This process is known as germination. The process of seed germination. Now the next is parts of seeds. So what are the changes taken place here? Zygote gets converted into embryo. Ovule forms seed coat, and ovary forms fruit. These are the post-fertilization changes. This diagram you have to remember with labeling. They have asked multiple times this question for labeling. This diagram, whenever they're asking for the fertilization process, you have to draw this diagram. When they have asked explain fertilization in plants, at that time you have to draw this diagram. It's clear?
Yes, ma'am.
The next is parts of seeds. So seed, that is embryo, is present inside. At the time of germination, different. That's embryo gets converted into now plantlets. So for before that, seedlings are formed. So in that, when the embryo starts germinating, at that time some part will start coming out of it. So one of the part which gets converted into shoot-like structure, that is we call as plumule. Plumule is a future shoot, and radicle is a future root. So radicle will start forming downwards and the plumule will form upwards. You can see here the parts are coming out through the leaf, dicot leaf, dicot seed. The structures are coming out of it. When we take a sprouts at home, so in our house we make it sprout. So for one day, if you keep soak those seeds, keep it for some time, and after that remove the water and place it for 4 to 5 hours. Place it at a warm temperature, warm places. So you can see on the next day, you will see some white parts started coming out of those seeds. So those white parts are actually the plumule and radicals. One upper part is a plumule and lower part is radical. Plumule will get converted into future shoot and the radical will form future root, and those cotyledons which have stored food for that embryo will become first leaf of the plant. So cotyledons are the first leaf of the plant, of the plantlet seedling. That's it in this part. So 3 to 5 mark question can be asked from this part of the chapter. Clear? So
Yes, ma'am.
then reproduction in human beings. So for that, first at the pubertal stage, what are the changes? Secondary sexual characters has been changed that you need to know for male and female differently. At pubertal changes, the secondary sexual characters in both male and females are one by one, at least 2 to 3 differences you need to remember. In male, cracking of the voice, shoulder become wider, bones become more stronger. Uh, then it is growth of hair. So thick hair growing in new parts of the body such as armpits, the genital area, between the thighs, which can become darker in color, which can also become darker in color. Thinner hair can also appear on legs and arms as well as on the face. The skin frequently becomes oily and we might begin to develop pimples. We begin to be conscious and aware of both our own bodies and those of others in new ways. So these are the secondary sexual characters in male. This is for the male part. Then this is for the female part. Then the in female, there is in girls, what are the changes taking place? There are also changes taking place that are different between the boys and girls. In girls, breast size begin to increase with darkening of skin, the nipples at the tips of breasts. Also, girls begin to menstruate at around this time. Boys begins to have new thick hair growth on the face and their voice begins to crack. The further the penis occasionally begins to become enlarged and erect, either in the daydreams or at nights. So these are the changes taken place in the male and female body separately. Okay, so this question can be asked for 2 marks. And then the different reproductive system in male and reproductive system in female. And after that, it is not there. Then the different parts of the male reproductive system and the female reproductive system. So in that male part, it is the testes, the pair of testes, then scrotum. So you need to remember the functions of those part. Mainly you have to remember the testes. You need to remember the function of testes. So function of testes is, what are the functions of testes? Two functions of testes.
It's a site of sperm production.
Site of sperm production, right? One, that is a exocrine function, endocrine function.
Releases the
Secondary
male hormone, testosterone.
Secretion of testosterone. Secretion of testosterone, which helps in development of secondary sexual characters in male, and the second one is formation of sperms, male gametes. Then second one is scrotum. Function of scrotum, it is also called thermoregulator. That sperms can survive 1 to 3 degree Celsius temperature lesser than the body temperature. So that maintaining that temperature for the sperms to keep alive is done by scrotum. So the movement of scrotum changes the temperature of the sperms, so which keeps them alive. That is a function of scrotum. Scrotum is thermoregulator for sperms. So maintaining the temperature of the sperm is done by the addition here. This, I don't think so. Here they have explained anything about this one, scrotum. Then after that, vas deferens. Vas deferens is a pipe-like structures which carry sperm from testes to penis. Then seminal vesicle and prostate gland. Always asked question. Function of seminal vesicle and prostate gland. Both together, don't write its different functions because you have not been given. So you have to write the together, both of them says function. What is the function of these two? So here it is mentioned. Urethra forms a common passage for both sperms and urine. Glands, like here, the function of seminal vesicle and prostate gland. Seminal vesicle add their secretions so that the sperms can now in a fluid which makes their transport easier and this fluid also provides nutrition. These sperms are tiny bodies that consist of mainly genetic material and long tail that helps them to move towards the female germ cells. Okay. So that is the male reproductive part. So function of seminal vesicle and prostate gland is always asked question for 2 marks. Write the function of seminal vesicle and prostate gland. So you are not supposed to give the answer twice or two separately. Together, they secrete the fluid called as semen. So which makes the fluid medium for the easy transport of sperms. One. And the second function is they provide nourishment because sperms has to live a life for 4 to 5 days outside the body. So these sperm will alive through the nutrition. So that nutrition, that is a sucrose, is present in that fluid. So that sucrose keeps them nourished, keeps these sperms nourished. So two function, making the medium fluid for easy transfer and keep providing the nutrition. Sucrose has been added. That's right. Is it clear? Penis is the common passage for the sperms as well as urine. Urethra is the common passage which is connected. So here both of them have been connected together. So this is the urinary bladder output and this is vas deferens. Both have been combined together forming the urethra. Through the urethra it has been excreted out, it's taken out. Then the next is female reproductive part. This diagram always asked diagram to draw is female reproductive part, and explaining also always asked structure is the female reproductive part. So in these this one 4 parts very important, that is first one is ovary, second one is oviduct or fallopian tube, third one is uterus. These are the main, and vagina. Okay. So in this one, the sperms enters through vagina, enters into uterus. With the help of fallopian tube, they reach the fallopian tube with the help of the fluid medium they have, semen they have. So in the fallopian tube, the ovary, there are 2 almond-shaped ovaries are present on either side. Both the ovaries at a time, one single ovary produces ovum. Both of them produce ovum, but in an interval of 28 days time, one single ovary secretes, gives out ovum, which enters this fallopian tube. So once in 28 days, this one, and then next 28 days, this one. So the menstruation cycle in that every ovary is releasing ovum. So that is happening through one by one through right and left ovary. Some 1 month right ovary, another month left ovary, next month right ovary, then left ovary. Both of them at a time could not release ovum. One at a time, a single ovary is releasing ovum, that is egg. So at the time when the ovary produces these all ovum, whichever matures will be released into this fallopian tube or oviduct. It is released. That process is called as ovulation. So ovulation is a process in which these ovary releases mature ovum into the fallopian tube. Then if at that time, this is after in the menstruation phase, it is in the 13th to 14th day. 10 to 13th day, the ovulation takes place. Then here, if the sperm is present, then that sperm fuses with the ovum and the zygote formation takes place in the fallopian tube. So the site of fertilization is oviduct or fallopian tube. So important function, ovary produces ovum is the main function, and the second one is secretes estrogen. Second one, fallopian tube's main function is to it is the site of fertilization. It provides a surface for the fertilization of ovum and the sperm. So ovum and sperm fertilize. After that, the zygote is formed. Then that zygote again divides further to form embryo. So embryo formation also takes place in this tube. And then that embryo, when it is the callus is formed, embryo is formed. So that will enter the uterus. So before that, at just the ovary has given out the ovulation process has taken place. At that time only, uterus will start forming this pericardium. So this this one inner layer started forming at that time. So this inner layer of uterus, uterine wall, we call it as corpus luteum. So this will be formed every month. This formation starts when ovulation done. So when the ovulation happens, before that only, so when the one menstruation phase starts, at that time only this layer will be started forming. Corpus luteum will start forming, over uterus will start forming, because it prepares for the pregnancy. So here embryo enters, and then embryo stick to any side, any of the wall of the uterus, this embryo stick to it. So this process is called as implantation. So first process is ovulation. So ovary releases egg, that we call as ovulation. Second step is fertilization. Then third step is implantation. What is implantation means? Embryo stuck in the wall of uterus for the further development. So that process is called as implantation. Now further embryo uh, grows into the uterus. At the same time, in the wall of uterus, there is a important structure, disc-like structure is formed, that is called as a placenta. Placenta, and then umbilical cord is formed. So that is again the important 100% asked question. What is placenta? What is its function? Explain its structure. So it was given here. So here, this is the process of fertilization explained. This is the fertilization process. The lining of the uterus thickens and richly supplied with blood to nourish the growing embryo. The embryo, now here, so this is the embryo gets nutrition from the mother's blood with the help of a special tissue called placenta. Now what is placenta? Explained here. This is a disc which is embedded in the uterine wall. It contains villi on the embryo side of the tissue, and on the mother side are blood spaces which surrounds the villi. So this provides, now this is the structure. This is structure of placenta, and the function of placenta is given here. So this provides large surface area for the glucose and oxygen to pass from mother to the embryo. And the developing embryo will also generate waste substances which can be removed by transferring them into the mother's blood through the placenta. The development of the child inside the mother's body takes approximately 9 months. This child is born as a result of rhythmic contraction of the muscles of uterus with the help of hormone called as, which hormone? What's the name of that hormone?
Progesterone.
No. Rhythmic contraction of the muscles of uterus, which helps in taking the child out, fetus out. Oxytocin. and vasopressin. And then what happens when the egg is not fertilized? So this is all these changes takes place when the egg is fertilized. Then what about the egg is not fertilized? So every time sperm will not be available for the fertilization. So at that time, the wall of uterus, which is secreted, as it is formed, that will break. All the blood capillaries present in that wall will come out along with the ovum released. So ovum is now dead. That will come out along with the wall of uterus and the blood. That is called as menstruation. So these are the menstruation starts when the fertilization won't take place. The egg is not fertilized, it lives for only 1 day, and since the ovary releases one egg every month, the uterus also prepares itself every month to receive the fertilized egg. So thus its lining become thick and spongy. This would be required for nourishing the embryo if fertilization had taken place. Now, however, this lining is not needed any longer, so the lining slowly breaks and comes out through the vagina as a blood and mucus. This cycle takes place roughly every month, which is known as menstruation. It usually lasts for about 2 to 8 days. So this is, so there again 3-mark question they are asked. What are the changes takes place in the, when the fertilization takes place, and what are the changes takes place when the fertilization does not take place? Okay. So that is about the fertilization in human beings. Then further is reproductive health and contraceptive measures and sexually transmitted diseases, STDs. So here you need to know the sexually transmitted diseases which are caused due to bacteria. 2 names you have to remember which are caused due to bacteria, and 2 names which are caused due to viruses. So bacterial diseases are syphilis and gonorrhea. So bacterial infections, gonorrhea and syphilis. You have to remember 2 questions. This is also a compulsory question. And for the viral infections are warts and genital warts and HIV/AIDS. So these names you have to remember. And then the contraceptive measures. So for contraceptive measures, they have not explained this one. You need to remember the 4 ways, 4 methods. Mechanical barrier, first one. Second one is chemical method. Oral pills will come in this one. Third one is IUCD, intrauterine contraceptive device. In that you will get loops and copper T. And the fourth one is surgical methods. Surgical methods, vasectomy and tubectomy will come. Mechanical barrier, you will get here condom and diaphragm. Okay, and sometimes they will ask you to explain you all these methods or any 2 methods explanation, or also they have asked, means it is a compulsory question every year. I've seen every year they have asked this question about the explain the methods of contraceptions, or what are the different ways by which the pregnancy can be avoided. Okay, with their mechanism, what happens means how they stops pregnancy, how they prevent pregnancy, that you have to, that has to be explained, and more easily can be explained is surgical method. So remember surgical method in detail. Okay, so that is you can explain it more, because this is a 3-mark question they have asked. They have asked this question for 3 marks also and for 2 marks also. So if you make it for this, at least for this one, it is 2 marks also, and for 3 marks also, you can explain in this one more, because others, they have not explained properly, and much more things also cannot be written in that part. So here it is method. These contraceptive methods are fall in the number of categories. One category is the creation of mechanical barrier so that sperm does not reach the egg. Condoms on the penis or similar coverings worn in the vagina can serve the purpose. So this is about the mechanical part, mechanical barrier part. Another category of contraceptive acts by changing the hormonal balance of the body so that eggs are not released and fertilization cannot occur. So the method used in that particular, this is a chemical process. So that also you need to know. By way one lines answers are there, you have to remember this. This is for chemical method. These drugs commonly used to be taken orally as pills, that is oral pills. Since they change hormonal balance, they can cause side effects too. Other contraceptive devices such as loop or copper T, that will come under IUCD, are placed in the uterus to prevent pregnancy. Again, they can cause side effects due to irritation of the uterus. If the vas deferens of the male, so this is for the vasectomy, is blocked, sperm's transfer will be prevented. And if the fallopian tube in the female is blocked, the egg will not be able to reach the uterus. So this is the surgical method. In both cases, fertilization will not take place. The surgical methods can be used to create such blocks. While surgical methods are safe in long run, surgery itself can cause infection and other problems if not performed properly. Surgery can also be used for removal of unwanted pregnancies. These may be misused by the people who do not want a particular child. So as happens in illegal sex selection, abortions, or female feticides. For a healthy society, the female male ratio must be maintained. Because of the reckless female feticide, child sex ratio is declining at the alarming rate at some sections of our society, although prenatal sex determination has been provided by law. Okay. So in this one, which of these methods will prevent STD? One more question they have asked. Which of these methods prevent STD? Sure, prevention of STDs can be done. So only mechanical barrier. Only mechanical barrier can help in prevention of STDs, not any other. Any others cannot prevent, only mechanical barrier will prevent. Okay, that was a 1 mark question they have asked earlier. Okay, fine, so we will stop here. So this is the end, nothing else is there. This is the end of the chapter. Here placenta, reproduction in female, then it is a female reproductive part, a diagram. These are always asked question. Then it is a contraceptive methods. So these are all most commonly asked questions. It's clear? Fine, you can leave now.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.